The Congo is the deepest river on Earth, over 700 feet down in places. So dark, so violent, scientists have never reached the bottom. But beneath it lives some of the most dangerous creatures on the African continent. People die here every year, from animals, parasites, and dangers they never see coming. And then there is one creature, described by people in the Congo Basin for generations, that may not be supposed to exist at all. This is the Congo. And these are the 11 terrifying creatures hiding inside it. 1. Forest cobra. In the 19th century, European explorers traveling deep into the Congo Basin began sending home strange reports. They wrote of a snake that did not behave like other snakes, a snake that could climb, that could swim, that sometimes, they claimed, dropped from the branches above and struck a man before he ever saw it. For decades, scientists dismissed these stories as fantasy. Cobras lived on the ground. Cobras did not climb. Cobras did not hunt from above. The explorers were not lying. This is the forest cobra, the largest true cobra in Africa, up to 10 feet long, black-bodied, powerful, and the only cobra in the world known to climb trees, swim across rivers, and stay underwater for long stretches at a time. It is one of the most adaptable predators on the continent. It hunts birds in the trees, fish in the water, rats and lizards on the ground. Along the Congo, it does all three in the same hour. Its venom is neurotoxic, built to shut down the nervous system. A bite delivers enough toxin to kill a grown man in hours if no antivenom is given. The muscles stop responding. The lungs stop working. The victim is conscious until the very end. But what makes the forest cobra especially dangerous is something the explorers were right about all along. You do not always see it coming. It can rest on a branch above the trail. It can swim beneath a waiting fisherman. It can lie still on the path until you have already stepped past it. In the Congo, the forest cobra is everywhere, and at every level of the forest at once. The ground, the water, the branches above your head. It does not need to choose. 2. Electric catfish. 4,000 years ago, the ancient Egyptians carved this fish into the walls of their tombs. They called it, "He who saves many in the water." Not because it was kind, because it was so dangerous that when fishermen pulled one out of the Nile, every crocodile, every snake, every predator within reach would flee. This is the electric catfish, and it has been hunting in the rivers of Africa, including deep into the Congo, for longer than human civilization has existed. It does not look dangerous. It is plump, slow, brown and gray, easy to miss in the murk of the riverbed. The kind of fish you might bump against in shallow water and not even notice. But beneath its skin is something almost no other living animal carries: a battery. The electric catfish generates electricity through specialized cells running across nearly its entire body. With a single pulse, it can release up to 450 volts, more than 3 times the voltage in a standard household outlet. Enough to stun a person mid-stride, enough to drop a man face-first into the water. And here is the part most people don't realize. The shock is not painful for very long. It is fast, it is silent. There is no warning. A person wading through a calm part of the river feels nothing, until their muscles seize and their legs stop working. In shallow water, this is a fall. In deep water, this is a drowning. The catfish does not need to bite. It does not need to chase. It does not even need to be seen. It only has to touch you. And by the time you feel it, you are already in the water. 3. Goliath tigerfish. For generations, fishermen along the Congo told visitors about a fish that hunted birds. Outsiders laughed at the idea. Birds fly, fish swim. There was no overlap. Then scientists filmed it. A fish, over 4 feet long, more than 100 pounds, leaped clear of the river, twisted in the air, and caught a low-flying swallow mid-flight. This is the Goliath tigerfish. The locals call it mbenga. In several Congo languages, the word simply means the dangerous fish. Not the big fish, not the fast fish, the dangerous one. It looks like something built for combat. Long, silver, muscled. Its tail drives it through the water like a torpedo. And its mouth is full of teeth that close like a row of daggers. 32 of them, sharp enough to slice flesh on contact. Long enough to be visible even when the mouth is shut. It hunts almost anything it can catch. Other fish, small mammals, crocodile hatchlings, even other Goliath tigerfish. And it has attacked humans. There are cases along the Congo of swimmers and fishermen losing fingers, hands, and entire chunks of flesh to a single bite. Most victims describe the same thing. They felt the water shift around them, then a force like being hit by a hammer. By the time they understood what had happened, the fish was already gone. It is one of the few freshwater predators in the world that strikes the way a shark strikes, fast, powerful, once. But unlike a shark, the Goliath tigerfish does not need to circle. The first hit is usually enough. 4. Tsetse fly. In the early 1900s, in the heart of what was then King Leopold's Congo, something began moving through the villages. It was not an army. It was not a disease European doctors recognized. It struck slowly, quietly, almost invisibly. People began to grow tired. First a few, then dozens, then whole villages. They fell asleep at meals. They fell asleep walking. They forgot the names of their children. By the time a body was carried from a hut, the next person in the same hut was already showing the signs. Within 20 years, the epidemic had killed an estimated 250,000 people. And the killer was not even larger than a thumbnail. It was the tsetse fly, about the size of a housefly. Darker, easy to miss until it lands on bare skin. Its bite is sharper than a mosquito's, but most people just brush it off and keep working. Days later, they begin to feel sick. The fly itself does not kill. What it carries does. A microscopic parasite enters the bloodstream through the bite and begins to move. Fevers come and go, headaches, joint pain, swelling at the lymph nodes. By the time most patients seek help, the parasite has already crossed into the brain. And that is when it changes the person. Sleep cycles invert. Victims sleep all day and wake screaming at night. Personalities shift. The mind begins to drift. Families watch someone they love disappear. Slowly, over months, into confusion, then silence, then coma. Without treatment, the disease is almost always fatal. The Congo Basin is where the tsetse fly still thrives, in the dense, shaded vegetation along the riverbanks. The same banks where farmers work, where fishermen rest in the shade, where children play. It is one of the smallest creatures in this river system, and it has killed more people here than any predator on this list ever will. 5. Black-necked spitting cobra. In hospitals across Central Africa, doctors have documented patients arriving with the same strange injury, time after time. They are blind in one or both eyes. Their corneas are scarred, and not a single one of them was bitten. The cause is a snake that does not need to touch its victim to leave them blind for life. This is the black-necked spitting cobra, found across Central and Southern Africa, and common throughout the Congo region. One of the most accurate venom shooters on the planet. When it feels threatened, it rears up and aims for the eyes. From up to 8 feet away, the cobra can fire 2 streams of venom in less than a second. They are not random, they are not warning shots. The snake locks onto the brightest reflective points it can see, and the eyes are almost always the brightest thing on a human face. The pain begins instantly, a burning so intense that most victims drop whatever they're holding. The venom destroys the surface of the eye in minutes. Without immediate flushing and a lot of water, the damage can be permanent. Many victims across rural Africa are left blind in one or both eyes. And here is the trick. The spitting is not even how it kills. It also bites. Its venom is cytotoxic, built to destroy flesh. The bite causes massive swelling, tissue death, and in some cases, organ failure. The spit is its warning. The bite is its weapon. But what makes it especially dangerous in the Congo is that it doesn't avoid people. It hunts near water sources, it enters villages. It hides in firewood, in piles of laundry, under sleeping mats. You don't have to find it. You only have to walk too close. 6. Bull shark. For generations, fishermen along the lower Congo told outsiders that there were sharks in the river. Foreign biologists dismissed it. Sharks lived in the ocean. Rivers were too far inland. The locals, they assumed, were confusing crocodiles with something they had never seen. But the fishermen kept insisting. They described teeth, fins, bodies thicker than a man's torso, attacks hundreds of miles from the sea, in water no shark should have been able to reach. It took modern science decades to admit they were right. This is the bull shark. Most sharks cannot survive long in freshwater. Their bodies are built for the sea. But the bull shark is different. Its body can adjust to both salt and fresh water, allowing it to move through river mouths, push upriver, and keep swimming inland for hundreds of miles. Into water so dark, a swimmer never sees it coming. Its bite is among the strongest in the ocean, stronger than a great white. Its jaws clamp, twist, and tear. A bull shark can bite, release, circle, and strike again. Most victims never see it. They feel a bump, a pull. Then the water turns red. A single violent shake can tear muscle, open arteries, and leave a person unable to swim. In water, shock and blood loss can become as dangerous as the bite itself. Most drown before they ever reach the bank, and the worst part, bull sharks use shallow river mouths as nursery water. The same water where fishermen set nets, where children swim, where women wash clothes. For years, attacks here have been blamed on crocodiles, and the fishermen kept saying the same thing. It was never the crocodiles. 7. Vundu catfish. In most of the world, the catfish is a familiar animal. Small, slow, the kind of fish that ends up on a dinner plate. In the Congo, it is something else entirely. There is a catfish in these rivers that grows longer than a tall man, that breaks fishing lines in a single pull, that hides in the deeper holes of the river by day, and at night rises into the shallows looking for whatever it can swallow whole. The locals call it vundu. To science, it is Heterobranchus longiphilis. To everyone else who has lived along the Congo, it is the fish that doesn't belong in a river. Over 5 feet long, more than 100 pounds, and it can do something almost no other freshwater fish on Earth can do. It can breathe air. The vundu has a built-in organ next to its gills that lets it gulp oxygen from above the water. This is why it survives in stagnant pools, and why it stays in shallow water where other large fish cannot. It is not a clean hunter. It does not stalk. It does not chase. It rises from the depths at night and waits in the shallows for whatever is small enough to swallow whole. Fish, frogs, snakes, birds that wade too close, and along the Congo, where dogs come to drink and children sit by the bank, the vundu sometimes takes those too. Most stories are passed down. A pet pulled under, a foot grabbed near the shore, a child who screamed and was gone. Hard to prove, hard to ignore. Because a catfish that grows to the size of an adult man, with a mouth wide enough to swallow a small dog, and a body strong enough to snap a fishing line in one pull, is not the kind of fish that waits politely to be caught. It eats what it can fit, and the Congo is full of them. 8. African rock python. Decades ago, in a village deep in the Congo Basin, a young boy went out to herd his family's goats. He did not come back. Search parties found his sandals near a river. They found his herding stick. They did not find him. 2 weeks later, hunters tracking through the swamp came across what they thought was a fallen log. It was bloated, long, unnaturally still. It was not a log. This is the African rock python, the largest snake on the continent, and one of only a handful of snakes in the world large enough and strong enough to kill and consume a human being. It can grow over 20 feet long, 200 pounds. Its head alone is wider than a man's hand. It hunts by wading in the shallows of rivers, in the long grass beside footpaths, along the muddy banks where animals come to drink. When it strikes from cover. The teeth lock first, hundreds of small, backward-curving hooks that hold the prey in place. Then the body wraps around the victim, and it tightens. Most people imagine constriction as a slow crush. It is not. The python doesn't break bones. It stops the heart. With every breath the victim exhales, the snake tightens further, until the lungs can no longer expand and the heart can no longer pump. Within minutes, the victim is dead. Then the snake begins to swallow. The jaw unhinges. The skin around the throat stretches far beyond what should be possible. And inch by inch, the python takes its meal whole, into a body that can take days to digest what it has eaten. In the Congo, there are documented cases of pythons swallowing children, goats, even crocodiles. It does not happen often, but it happens. 9. River blindness. In the middle of the 20th century, surveyors traveling across West Africa began to notice something they could not explain. Entire villages, abandoned, hundreds of them, fertile land beside the rivers, the kind of land any farming community would fight to live on, sitting completely empty. The houses still standing, the fields still ready to plant, but the people were gone. When investigators traced what had happened, they found the answer was not war, not famine, not anything they recognized at first. The villagers had fled the rivers because too many of them were going blind. This is river blindness, caused by a parasitic worm carried in the bite of a single tiny fly. It is shaped where humans can and cannot live across Africa, including the heart of the Congo Basin, for more than a century. It enters through a single bite, not a snake, not a spider, a black fly. Small, quick, common along every fast-moving river in the region. The bite stings for a second. Most people don't even remember it. But the fly leaves something behind. And what it leaves grows. For months, the host feels nothing, No fever, no pain, just the occasional itch. Maybe a small lump under the skin. Nothing alarming. But beneath the skin, something is moving. It is a worm. By the time it is full grown, it is longer than a hand. It hides inside the body for 10 years, sometimes 15. It feeds, it mates, and it releases millions of tiny offspring that travel through the bloodstream. Some of them reach the eyes. At first, there is nothing. A blurry corner of vision, a pain behind the eye, a sensitivity to light. Years pass, the blur grows, the world dims, and one morning the host wakes up, and the village around them is gone. Not lost, not destroyed, just unseen forever. This is what stole the sight of generations along the Congo. Not the worm itself, not its bite, but the slow, silent way it lives inside the people who walked into the water, and the river that brought it to them. 10. Hippopotamus. Of all Africa's large animals, one of the most feared is not the lion, not the leopard, and not even the crocodile. It is a vegetarian. The hippopotamus. From a distance, a hippo can look almost harmless. Heavy, round-faced, slow, half asleep in the water with only its eyes, ears, and nostrils showing above the surface. To people who have never lived beside them, they can even look funny, like oversized animals floating lazily in the river. That mistake has killed people. The hippo is one of the largest land mammals on Earth, second only to the elephant. A full-grown male can weigh over 4,000 pounds. Its mouth can open 180 degrees. Inside, it has tusks that grow up to 20 inches long enough to drive completely through the body of an adult human. And it is fast. On land, a hippo can run at 30 miles an hour, faster than any human alive. In water, it does not swim. It walks along the bottom of the river, hidden from sight, surfacing only when it chooses. Hippos are not predators, but they are intensely, violently territorial. They patrol the same stretch of river day after day. They mark it, they guard it, and anything that crosses into their water, boats, fishermen, swimmers, other hippos, is treated as a threat. The attacks are sudden. A submerged hippo can rise directly beneath a small fishing boat, lift it into the air, and shatter it in a single motion. Survivors describe the same thing. There was no warning, no splash, no noise, just the moment the boat became the air, and then the water. In the Congo, hippos kill more people every year than crocodiles, lions, and elephants combined. And the worst part is, most victims were not hunting them. They were just trying to cross the river. 11. Mbembe. In 1776, a French missionary traveling through the swamps of the Congo Basin recorded something strange in his journals. He wrote of a creature the local tribes called Mbembe, the one who stops the flow of the rivers. They described it as enormous, long-necked, long-tailed, bigger than an elephant, capable of overturning canoes and killing the hippos that crossed its territory. The missionary noted the descriptions with care. He had no idea what he was hearing, because at that point in history, dinosaurs had not yet been discovered. The word itself would not exist for another 65 years. Western science had no concept of giant, long-necked reptiles that once walked the earth. But the people of the Congo did. For centuries, tribes along the Congo River and the Likwala swamps have spoken of Mbembe. The descriptions have barely changed across generations. Long neck, heavy body, the size of a sauropod, a creature that lives in waters so deep and isolated that science has not yet fully mapped them. In 1980, an American scientist led an expedition into the Likwala swamps to find it. Locals took him to specific lakes. They described the creature in such consistent detail that even he began to wonder. Nothing was ever caught, nothing photographed clearly. Every expedition has returned the same way, with stories, with sightings, with sketches, and nothing to put in a museum. This is the final entry on the list. Because of all the creatures here, Mbembe may not exist at all. But here is the thing about the Congo River. It is the deepest river on Earth, cut through jungle that has not been fully surveyed. There are stretches of water no satellite can see beneath, lakes no road reaches. And in those waters, there are species we have already discovered that nobody believed were possible. So maybe Mbembe is a legend. Or maybe it is a memory, passed down from a time when something very large still walked through these swamps. Either way, the Congo has not finished showing us what it hides. If this journey made the Congo feel different, then stay with us. There are more forgotten rivers, lost forests, and dangerous places where the truth is still buried under legend. Subscribe, and we'll go there next.